Okay, so let's talk about HTML. So HTML, as I'm sure many of you know, stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And so it describes how the format of HTML pages. So what that actually looks like. And this is a textual format. So this is derived roughly from XML, which is an extensible markup language. So let's just look at the format of one of these. So we're going to start out with the document type. So this doc type is not strictly necessary in the sense that almost all browsers don't care about it. But it specifies that if you were to feed this into some XML parser, that this is HTML. And all XML pages need a doc type. So you can, given a document, can know the format of it. So anyway, we start with the doc type HTML, and this doc type is all uppercase. And then when this is an example of a tag. So this is a doc type. We're going to now start the HTML. So that's going to be left angle bracket HTML, right angle bracket. And we're going to end our whole document with a left angle bracket slash HTML. So this is an open tag. And this is a close tag. And within here, we have contents. And this whole thing is an entire element. So HTML there's two basic parts that we care about. So we're going to start with a head. So there's our open tag and our associated close tag. So the head contains information that's not actually displayed in the page itself. It's meta information. The one required element in here is the title. So this is, our page. And so the entire element here, now it's not part of the page because it actually doesn't ever get displayed in the HTML page. Instead, it's meta information about the page, which is the title, and that actually gets normally displayed in the tab of this page. So outside of the page itself in some sense. There can be other things in here. We can have, for instance, script tags or meta information tags, JavaScript tags, CSS tags, so style information rather. We'll talk more about those later. And then the other main element under the HTML is the body. So the things in the body do get shown. So we could, for instance, have a header. There are different levels of headers, H1s and H2s and H3s and H4s. Let's provide, let's say, an H1 header. And then let's provide some text. So text normally goes in paragraphs. So we can write a P tag for paragraph. And I'd say you're encouraged to provide the closing tag for a paragraph, but there are a few tags where you don't really need a closing tag, and P is one of them. That's really for historical reasons. Let's go ahead and put some more text in another paragraph. But let's say we actually want to have, so if we put more text and more, this would actually be put on one line, more text and more. okay, because the HTML doesn't really care about line breaks. It just treats those as a space. If we actually wanted a break there, we could use a break tag. And so a break tag looks like BR. It doesn't have any contents in it. So we could write BR /BR, but there's a shorthand in HTML and XML for tags, for representing an open tag and a closed tag that have no enclosing data. And the way to do that is just go ahead and do BR with a trailing slash. So I think I said / over here when I was looking at the BR, and I should know the difference between slashes and backslashes. So instead of open tag BR, close tag BR, we're going to just do a BR / tag, and that's both an open and a close. The fact is, clients are very accepting, and so even if you just put a BR open tag by itself and no associated close tag, that's fine. So don't put the slash at all. You can, so this is an example of nesting, because you see that the BR element is nested within the P element. You can do other sorts of nesting. So let's say you wanted this first word text to be in italics. So you could add, let's say, a I open tag and a close I around text, and now text would appear in italic. So the way this actually works, this HTML page in a browser gets read, and then it gets parsed into a tree. So this will actually get parsed into a hierarchy where we've got a root to our hierarchy, and then we'll have a head, and we'll have a title object, and we'll have a body, and we'll have, here we have 1, 2, 3 top level elements within that. So we have an H1, we have a P, we have a P, and the title, for example, will have as contents our page. The H1 will have as contents in it our header. This P will have contents. The second P will have contents, and within it, it'll actually have I and BR tags as well. So the page itself, the HTML page, gets parsed and then ignored. It's just put away unless you refresh, in which case it'll be reread. And then what happens is, so let's just look at this. Let's get parsed to this hierarchy. This hierarchy is called the DOM, which refers to the document object. Then this DOM is actually the thing that is used to render the page. So the browser will go through the DOM and render the page based on the DOM. Now the DOM can change. So for example, let's say you have a checkbox control, right? If the user clicks the checkbox to turn it on, then the value of the associated checkbox object in this hierarchy in the DOM is going to change just so that it's checked or unchecked. Or if you've got a text field and type in the text field, then it will be reflected in the DOM. So the DOM is sort of our representation of what this current state of the page is, whereas the HTML was the initial state. The DOM can also be wildly different from the original HTML because we may have changes that get made to the DOM from JavaScript. So in JavaScript, we may add or delete nodes from the DOM. We may change elements of the DOM and so on. So the DOM reflects what is actually going to get displayed. Let's look at a couple more tags that we can use. So, and actually first one important one is just if you want to comment your HTML code, you do that with an odd syntax, which is exclamation, hyphen, hyphen, and then this is your comment. And then you end it with hyphen, hyphen, right bracket. If you have multiple lines and you want to comment them all out, you normally do that just by putting a line before, like this, and then a line like this after. Woe to you, however, if your multiple lines themselves had a comment in them, because then you're in trouble. Another one is, let's say you have an image. So you have an image tag, and here we have what are called attributes. So tags can have attributes, and in the image case, the source attribute is required. And so you say source equals, and you might put, for instance, foo.jpg. In that case, what's going to happen is it's going to go to the server that contains this HTML page and try and find foo.jpg at the same location. You could also provide a full URL if you wanted for this source, and it'd go to whatever server you had specified here. And there are many attributes you can put in here: the width, the height, whether it's centered, all sorts of things like that. You want to always provide alternate text that describes this image. So this is, let's see, this is a man on bicycle. So this alt text is used in the case that it can't find the image for some reason, or maybe the user's turned off image loading. And another reason might be someone who has turned on a screen reader of some sort, right? So this is for accessibility reasons. If they're unable to actually see the image, they can have, let's say, this alt text read possibly. Of course, the big thing about HTML is hypertext. So how does hypertext work? Well, we use anchors or links. So if we want to do a link, we use an A tag. And in the A, we use an href parameter. And then our parameter is going to be some other object. So it could be, for example, let's say we want to go to another page. So we'd say other.html, and then we put text of the link, and then we close that A tag. So if the user clicks on click here, and presumably the browser by default is going to display click here in some alternate format to show that it's clickable. If the user clicks here, it will then go to the same server that's containing this HTML page and try and retrieve another page called other.html. Again, your href can be a full URL, and it need not be an HTML page, right? It could be a PDF, and then when you click on it, it should either display it or download it, depending on how things have been configured. The other big part of HTML has to do with forms. We will talk about those in a forthcoming video.